Hello and welcome to the W Basketball Show. I'm your host Lukas, joined this week by my co-host. You want to be a co-host?
For sure.
Yeah,
for
cool.
sure.
Marco, how are you?
Pretty good, man. I think it's the humidity, not the heat, but apart from that, I'm pretty good.
What's wrong about the humidity?
It's too humid.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Did you know? I thought today had a bit of a dryness to it.
Really?
Oh, I actually don't know. It was. I actually think it was just like the first out of context hot day in a really long time for me in Melbourne. So I just think my body didn't really know how to react.
Were you at work? Or?
I was at work.
Yeah.
And the temperature inside the office was actually quite fine. Now there is a bit of background noise. It's the street. It's the cars.
It's the street, not the humidity.
The cars and the trams. That is going to be something that might be constant throughout the episode.
Well, throughout the months of December, January, and February.
Yeah, but there is no way of cooling down the room otherwise. And as we've actually, the only thing we've already talked about is how hot it is.
So hot.
So that's that on that, and that's a tram pass.
Yeah. So do you have air conditioning in your office? Is it like one of those offices where you're inside and it's kind of like frosty cold?
Yeah. It's got their it's like those air cons that weren't regulated for a really long time.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we can't resell these anymore because there's this one, let's call it a concentrate that makes people's throats dry in a really unsafe way.
I see.
One of those ones. But you're pretty cold.
Yeah, because we had the aircon going and it was pretty okay. But I went to my parents' house and they have evaporative cooling, and evaporative cooling doesn't do anything when it's this humid. It's just sucking hot air and then blowing almost as hot air back out. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's the one failure of a very environmentally friendly and cost efficient cooling system, actually, Lucas.
Evaporative.
Yeah.
Ding. That's when you have to open the windows, right?
Yeah. Because it draws the air in.
Yeah.
I think it's drawing the air in and it's so moist. It's like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Full circle moment, windows open, etc. So, that's not what we came on here, of course. Yada. The Australian Opals. Oh, this is the W Basketball Show. We've introduced.
Yeah.
Clicked on it. They've listened to.
You also said it at the top of the hour.
They've listened to multiple episodes. You know what the deal is. This episode, the Australian Opals have just released their 20-player squad ahead of the Olympics, or maybe even more specifically, the Olympic qualifying tournament. So we're going to talk a bit about that, and then we got a few things in store. I'm sure you'll have been spoiled by the title of this episode, but we're going to start with the Opals. So I think this actually got dropped last night or something. It hit the Opals social media this morning. But yeah, what are your initial feelings, thoughts, and reactions, potentially emojis? To the Opals squad.
I think we shared this morning, but it was exciting. It was exciting, getting this list of names and being like, far out, we have so many good basketball players and we're really strong at every position. I think it's good to see all 12 members of the World Cup squad returning, because that felt like a kind of I don't want to say generational, but it felt like a group that wasn't done in 2022. That wasn't the sort of last tilt that they were going to make together. And obviously, it was just such a good squad. We only lost to a really, really, really well drilled China side with the crowd on their side as well. And we wouldn't have beaten the US under any circumstances. And then it's just fun seeing some of the good young and up and coming players, particularly Isabel Boys. That really got me excited seeing her name on that, because she's 19 years old. And you can, I don't know if she's clearly in the 12. No, I don't think she's clearly in the final 12, but you can see her fighting for a spot at the Olympics for sure.
Yeah, I think I counted 15 players that I'd love to bring on this 12 players squad. I think the main takeaway I had was just it's such an embarrassment of riches. We could pick, I feel like anyone's worst 12, quote unquote worst, because you got to be really good to be in this situation in the first place.
Yeah.
But even if we were to pick our weakest 12 from whatever, from person to person, we're gonna compete for a podium spot, and man, let's get a medal.
Yeah.
Damn it, I swore. But let's get a medal. This we're ready. Like, we're ready to get a medal now. We got talent. We got like leadership. We've got every part of the court is covered.
Yeah.
I think you said we've got depth in every position.
There's like 8 players on this squad that like feel like they could be the most vocal player on the court. You know, like there's so much leadership and veteran experience. But no, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I think we're a threat at every part of the court offensively, and you know, I mean, who's bad at defending on this list?
Yeah.
It's so Aussie to just be like annoyingly good at D.
Yeah.
And everyone on this list like kind of feels that. I guess maybe LJ and Zatina Akuso, maybe they don't feel like the most diverse defensive skill sets.
Yeah.
But man, that's 2 out of 20, and like they're centers.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's like, you know, the whole point of having Lauren Jackson at the World Cup, you know, was that we had other bigs who could like make up for her, you know, being over 40 years old. I don't want to say her lack of defensive skills. I think it's purely an age and physicality thing at this stage. But that's the beauty of it. Like, it's so balanced because of the options we have at every position. Like,
And I think that the role she played was more of a leadership and like vocal role and like off-court stuff, but also leading on the court. And I think of the 4 episodes I did with, oh my god, all 4 of them made the squad.
Yeah.
But of the 4 episodes I did with,
that's crazy, actually.
It's so cool.
You've already said this to me, and it's crazy to think that.
I think all of them made mention of like LJ's just leadership and like her experience. So I think that you could, I mean, I get a feeling she could get a ticket to Paris just based on that, and like
100%.
How she can help players just get the most out of themselves. I'll be posting the Deep 2 will be releasing a depth chart for the Australian Opals ahead of the Olympic qualifying tournament. Should I run through it?
Yeah, well, why don't we go not position by position, category by category?
Yeah.
And maybe you can explain why you think, you know, player X is over player Y in your eyes.
Yeah. So I've categorized them as backcourt, wings, and bigs. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the backcourt.
There you go.
You know, start from the bottom. Now we're here.
Pretty good place to start. I've got, this is, and I've also like kind of just identified each player in each category as well. This is all now my doing. We just got given the list of 20, and now this is my value add. So backcourt 1 through 8, I've counted 8 backcourt players. 1, Sammy Whitcomb, Christy Wallace, Tess Madgen, Jade Melbourne, Shyla Hill, Madison Rochi, Isabel Borlace, and Steph Reed at 8. Any questions, comments? Should we move on to the wings?
Firstly, Jade Melbourne being at 4 is crazy because she might be one of the best guards in the WNBL at the moment. Like, in terms of, like she's the best player on her team and she's just performing like at such a high level. But like, you can't make the argument that she is 4th. That she is like higher than 4th on this list. I'm not so sure. I would have Borlace above Maddie Rochi just because, like, I think, let's say you're going to bring 5 of those guards, like, you'd want the kind of young, up-and-coming, dynamic one to be in that 5th spot. Like, Maddie Rochi's awesome, obviously, but, like, Isabel Borlace is, I think, just such a more... Well, obviously she's, like, the future, but she's such a more interesting, like, type of guard as well. Like, you know, being the size she is and being the great defender that she is, and, like, you know... I think getting blooded on the international stage at that age is just like the best experience for any sports person.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess also if you just go through this 1 through 8, Maddie Rochi would be surplus to requirement if you have Madgen, Melbourne, and then we saw at the World Cup and just, you know, as the Opals play, Sandy Brondello loves running stuff through Whitcomb and Steph Talbot.
Yeah, Steph Talbot played point guard, you know.
So many, she was like not just the one getting the outlet, the one getting it after scores as well. So I guess that's a fair point. I think Rochi's a better defender than Borlace, and I guess Borlace, I'm saying it kind of wrong.
Borlace.
And maybe just like experience and that played into it as well. my other note is I would agree that I think Jade Melbourne is probably better at, like, technically better at basketball and more of an athlete than Tess Madgen is right now. But the amount of times, and, like, again, the amount of people that have credited Tess Madgen for, like, keeping us on track in international competitions at the World Cup, and just getting us into stuff and getting us to run a play when, like, stuff starting to hit the fan.
Yeah.
You can't overlook that.
No,
and,
not at all.
Getting wins is going to be, you don't have the luxury of, like, kind of learning over an extended period of time at the Olympics. You need to just get the wins.
Yeah.
You need to get in, get the wins, and get out. So yeah, I think that's where the experience and the maturity has.
I think I have a very Australian tall poppy syndrome chip on my shoulder in this thinking where, like, you're so used to, like, I don't know, in, like, the soccer World Cup, you're like, oh, we're never going to win the thing, so you better bring a few of the young lads on to, like, get experience. Like, no, you can just put 12 of the best basketball players in the world, like, on the squad and actually try and win the whole thing. Like, which is where we are. Like, we're fully in that position. Yeah.
It's such a privilege to be in that position where we can, like, just pack our best 12 and then in 4 years' time, like, Borlase has to be on that team in 4 years' time, and, like, and there'll be, like, a few other players, and then still most of these players as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I'm feeling pretty good about my list.
How about your wings?
On to the wings. You don't want to jump to the bigs and then go to the wings. All right, wings 1 through 6 this time. I should also mention, these is all if healthy.
Yeah.
I hate that, that's a thing you have to mention, but you got to mention it. 1, Beck Allen, Steph Talbot, Darcy Garvin, Alice Knecht, Annalie Maley, and 6, Sarah Blitzarves. We had 5 of these players at the World Cup, with Alex Knecht being the one that didn't make it. Mentioned it at the top about Sandy loving to play bigger wing 2s, 3s as the point. I wouldn't be surprised if all 6 of these players got selected. Yeah. Just knowing what she likes to go for. And then also at, like, the international level, thinking about, like, China, France, Spain, the US, Belgium, they're all really tall teams. So, and I think that that's kind of where we see ourselves, and I would hope that that's where we see ourselves, and, like, so many of the players want to win a medal at the Olympics. So I get a feeling all 6 of these players will be picked, maybe 5.
No, I'd agree. Like, that category is, like, Sarah Blitzarves being 6th in that list is crazy. Especially, again, because she's such, like, a leader for the Opals as well. Not that you've selected wrong at all. I think that just speaks to the depth of the wing positions. And I think, again, the way we've played under Sandy, like, we've already proven that you can find space for, like, 6 wing size players in a squad of 12, I think. I do hope that we bring maybe, like, one of Jade Melbourne or Maddie Rocci or Izzy Borlase just on. Also, like, just that, like, first time experience and just, like, having, like, someone whose role is to play purely as a point guard. Even just as, like, insurance for if one of the more experienced guards goes down. But I get a feeling we'll be seeing 5 or 6 of these players at the Olympics and even at the Olympic qualifying tournament. And like you said, if Steph Talbot can step into playmaking duties, like, Annalie Maley, Beck Allen, both pretty solid in that category as well. You might not need that guard depth if you're kind of confident in those other positions kind of contributing to that.
And then also, just looking at this list, I haven't thought about this till just now, but, like, man, who's the 6th best defender on that list? Because, like, they'd be...
Shit.
That, like, looking internationally, they would be one of the 5 best defenders on, like, any international team except for the US. Maybe not 5, but, like, they'd be making it every other international team, like, based, sure. Like, primarily on their D. Yeah, man, embarrassment of riches.
Shall we move to the bigs?
Down low, yeah. One, Ezzy Magbagor, Alana Smith, Kayla George, Mariana Tolo, Lauren Jackson, Zatina Akuso, 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
A pretty solid list once again.
Yeah, feeling pretty comfortable. Confident,
I think our bigs are like where we're. I mean, it might not be like our strongest positions, but it's where we have the like most. I don't know. So we're the most interesting or something. Like being able to roll out like Ezzy, who's like so young and up and coming, and like honestly could be one of like a legitimate star in the WNBA like in the next few years. DPOY candidate. Then someone who played on the team that won the championship, and then like Lauren Jackson, who needs no introduction, who all have like different play styles, all at different stages in their career, all have like different levels of international experience. It's just like, again, an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, I think there's just so much. I think going back to the thing at the start when you were like had this like compelling view of the bigs, there's so much assurance.
Yeah.
Like, I just take like Magbagor, Smith, George, Tolo. All 4 of them can play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they all bring slight variations, but like so many complementary overlapping skill sets as well.
Yeah.
Like Kayla George can just hit, turnaround jumpers just all game long. And like if she takes them every possession, it's a good basketball for us. Tolo, my God, man. Like there was Brianna Jones, I remember stood out as like someone that was just banging inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tolo was just like second, like behind her. Like she just brought the physicality.
And always came on when we needed it.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we need someone just like some toughness inside.
Yeah. I
was always just like perfectly timed.
Yeah, she fulfilled her role like every single minute she was on the court. Ezzy, I mean such a good all-around player. Incredible defender, as you said, defensive player of the year candidate. Moves incredibly well, like such an athlete. And then Alana Smith might be like the most varied athlete or diverse athlete we have on the team. Yeah. Like she moves like a guard. Her ability to turn and just like her athleticism, it's like it's second to none. And then she was top 3 for most improved in the WNBA this past season. So her game's only growing, and she looks great for us in international competition. She has looked great for us in international competitions in the past. And you can only assume that she's going to be looking better for like the next few years and like going forward. Like she's just going to be a stalwart of Aussie basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I throw a quick curveball at you?
Potentially, yeah. I can cut it out.
Who can throw the fastest? Given these depth charts that you've created, if you had to select your 12-person squad, like what would it be? Where would you cut it off in each category?
This is where I've been struggling. So I think my non-negotiables for the bigs are Magbagor, Smith, George, Tolo.
Okay, so that's 4 bigs.
You have to bring those 4.
Yeah.
I really want to bring Lauren Jackson as well. But let's just go with those 4.
Surely she just signs on as an assistant coach if she doesn't make the squad.
I'm not joking. I hate to be that guy that was like, fucking, I thought about that earlier. I thought about that today. Like, we just have to bring, she just has to be there.
Yeah, of course.
Retire again and then, like, re-sign with the Flyers the month after.
For the 15th time in her career.
I think, fuck. All right, I've got to come back to the wings because I want to pick all 6.
Yeah.
But then that will leave
two
guards. Our captain Tess Madgen can't make it. So let's go 3 backcourt.
Yeah.
Sammy Whitcomb, Christy Wallace, Tess Madgen.
Yeah, that's good.
4 in the front court. That's 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
you have to cut out Blitzarves, which just doesn't feel right, does it?
It doesn't feel right at all.
Yeah.
Because she was like you said, it's like unfinished business from the World Cup, and I think she was. That whole team did a really good job of bringing like Australia along for the ride, and they definitely didn't get an equitable amount of coverage for how great they were. I think at the Olympics it'll be, I mean, like just think about the basketball World Cup generally. I feel like most casual basketball fans are like, oh, what? There's a basketball World Cup. Whereas everyone knows about the Olympics.
Yeah.
So there'll be more bright lights, and I feel like there's just something kind of intangible about what she brings to the team and the energy that the team has when she isn't there. But going by my depth chart, far out, man. It's gonna have to be her, but that doesn't feel right at all.
No. There's some hard decisions to make.
Yeah. I guess that's the privilege of like being able to. Like it's not like who's gonna be number 12? It's like who's gonna be number 13? 14, 15.
Exactly.
Like I would love to take all 6 wings, top 5 bigs and top 4 guards backcourt, which is 15.
Yeah.
Like that I would love, like those are my like, if we bring any combination of those 15, I'd be like, I feel like we're in good hands.
Yeah.
And the players that I've left off that list are like, they would for sure make other teams 12-player squads.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna have to, or I'm gonna have to come to terms with at least 3 snubs.
Yeah.
I think.
Should we mention the coaching staff just briefly?
Oh
here,
yeah,
so it's on paper.
I unfortunately haven't looked at this.
Oh,
so this is news to me. I assume Sandy's head coach.
So Sandy Brundle is the head coach.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then the 3 assistants are Cheryl Chambers, who's Southside Flyers head coach.
Yeah.
Paul Goris, who's UC Capitals head coach. And Shannon Seabum, who's Townsville head coach. Yeah. So I mean, Sandy is obviously a tried and true hand. And then like Shannon had an incredible coaching season last season, so it feels like a pretty obvious pick. I don't know, and again the Flyers also had a fantastic season. I think that's all I have to comment on it.
Yeah, Paul Goris is an assistant at UC.
Oh, he's an assistant. Okay.
Yeah. But he was the coach. He was the head coach in years past.
Yeah.
What are my thoughts on the coaching staff? Like, very good.
Yeah.
Cheryl Chambers. Yeah, Cheryl Chambers. She coached Australia at the Asia Cup, I think, this year, and we got a bronze medal. So she's like, she's had experience on the international stage. Sandy's like pretty like tried and tested on the international stage and in the WNBA.
Yeah.
And I don't really know too much about the other two, especially as assistant coaches on international.
I'm going to make a completely uninformed opinion here. Paul Goris feels like a Mike D'Antoni type.
Okay.
Like he's old and he's like, I'm just assistant coach in a bunch of teams. When they need their offense sorted out or something.
I'll take another $2 million.
Yeah. But for him, it's like, I don't know, 50K.
Yeah. Well, Townsville have been playing incredible basketball the last two seasons. And Southside, they are like not only just have great talent, but like it's very clear to see how well Cheryl Chambers is going as a coach. And I guess maybe Madison Rochi being like such a consistent performer in the WNBL is probably the best example of that, because she's like, I feel like that idea of like the point guard is an extension of the coach on the court is really getting lost in basketball, but I feel like this is a really good example of that. Yeah. And this is also a really good example of that going right, not only for the coach and for the player on like a team success level, but on an individually successful level. So yeah, I feel good. I feel like we got good minds, good blending of minds, and then also good experience as well. Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to our next topic for today?
Yeah. Would you like to take a quick break?
Oh yeah, let's take a break.
Yeah. Would you like another beer as well?
I would love one.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Oh god, that sprayed all over my computer.
And that's the sound of a podcast restarting. Very weirdly good beer. And by weirdly good, I mean, I just feel like the branding... It's just the USA side, actually.
Yeah, it's a gimmick beer as well. Well, so we're drinking we're drinking a Balta X Figueroa Mountain West Coast Pilsner, which is, I assume, an iteration in a series of collaborations Balta is doing with American breweries, which would give you pause for thought. It gave you pause for thought, in fact.
Because Americans, let's say it with me, create the worst beers in the world.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But it's really yummy. It tastes good.
It's really yummy.
It's very drinkable, but it's got some flavor to it as well. Yeah.
I get the feeling Bolter were like, just went to American companies were like, you guys will just make it at your factory, but let us please do it. We've got it from here.
Or maybe not even. Brewed and canned at Bolter Brewing in Currumbin. Oh my god, Bolter did get bought by Asahi. Far out.
Oh,
and this is how I find out. Live on the W basketball show.
God, breaking news here. What does that mean? Does this mean Ned can drink it? It's really the question I'm
You
gonna
can
ask.
only drink beers that are owned by a Japanese parent company.
Yeah.
No. It's just Asahi and Kirin, which, huge multinational beer companies buy like every Australian craft brewery and then like eventually run them into the ground.
Good on them.
Yeah. But I mean, this is still being brewed. I think most of them are still brewed in Australia. It's just like, it's just sad.
Kirin on tap? Actually, Asahi on tap.
Yeah? You like it?
So good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you can really just drink them.
Yeah. And it makes the experience of going to a Japanese restaurant all the better.
Oh my
I know
God.
they're going to have it on tap here.
Yeah. By the way, maybe I'm just thinking of Dojo Ramen, but Japanese entrees, side plates, and beers at restaurants, so well priced.
Yeah.
So consumer priced.
I think it's
consumer friendly price.
I think it's actually got to be like a holdover from like Japanese izakaya culture where it's like, there's just this whole idea that you should be able to go out and drink and eat for cheap after work. Like, and have little bits and pieces,
Yeah.
And get way too drunk and then like sleep on your desk and then, be back at work at 6 a.m.
Yeah. But don't leave after the boss or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, again, that's not why we're here. Next piece of news, and I did actually cut the break too early. I was thinking about that while we were on the break.
Nah, I think this makes sense.
But this is actually, you take this one away, as the resident Aces fan.
So 3-time NBA champion?
I mean,
WNBA champion?
If only there was a way to check this out.
And WNBA Finals MVP, Chelsea Gray, who's also a guard for the Las Vegas Aces, if you didn't know. She has just been added to the NBC Sports California pre- and post-game broadcast team for the Sacramento Kings, where she'll be an analyst, I think a main analyst and a sideline analyst is what I'm guessing. Like, she'll be on the call as well as, doing the sideline thing, interviewing the coaches and the players. Which is just really cool because she's, I think, one of the foremost minds in the basketball world.
Yeah, I would agree with that. How do you feel about this as an Aces fan? And then also, how do you feel about this as just a viewer?
As an Aces fan, I don't know, it's really good. I think especially, in women's sport where there isn't as much money and, players' financial future isn't super secure, it's so good to see like someone you care about, and I genuinely care about her. Securing, I guess, a career post basketball. Also, she is just always insightful and charming and funny in any sort of Aces content. Post-game interviews, Instagrams, things of that nature. And she's she's just such a smart player, and I think she's so good at verbalizing how she thinks about the game as well. And then I think it's just gonna be another good basketball mind whenever you watch I'm obviously gonna listen to the Kings broadcast whenever I'm watching a Kings versus anyone game because of this. And I do think stuff like this also helps the visibility of the WNBA, even though she's going to be listened to by not one of the larger fan bases in the WNBA, but it's still people hearing her on the broadcast is going to attract more people to the league, I think.
I think as a long time NBA viewer now, I feel like I'm a long time NBA viewer.
100%.
What's a long time NBA viewer?
Whoa.
2+ years?
13 years old.
Yeah.
How you've been watching for like 15 years or something?
I've probably had League Pass or League Pass adjacent for 10 years.
Yeah.
But then also, and then like an extra 6 years of like Foxtel and Foxtel adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
No, even longer. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know why I'm. I don't know why I'm.
We can go to facebook.com and find
No.
I'm just saying you've been talking about basketball on the internet for like 12 years.
That's true. Okay, so what I was going to say is I feel like my basketball viewing experience over the like last 2 to 6 years, like that window, 2 years ago to 6 years ago, just like I just don't feel like we had the best broadcast in terms of like basketball people in basketball, you know, in commentating and analyst positions. And now I feel like the NBA is really cluing on to like, oh wait, people actually want to like know about the game.
Yeah.
And like people want to like hear something and like hear some insight, like not just hear like players say the same thing at every quarter time and not half time, but every quarter time and post game, like fans are sick of hearing the same stuff. And I feel like Chelsea Gray is just one of the best people to bring in, maybe the best person in the world to bring in for that. Because like, as you said, like not only is she just this incredible basketball mind, like the amount of times you as a viewer can now telegraph when she's going to make that like full quarter, half court, no look pass on the fast break. And it's like this inside joke she has with you as a viewer. And no one else on the court knows what's going to happen except the player cutting. The other team has no clue. And then she just makes that pass. Not only is like someone with that IQ, but then, someone with the charisma and like the personality that she has. Great hire for the Kings. She covered a game today. Yeah. That we both obviously missed. But I mean, and also like I just feel like it fits the Kings as well. Just like this up and coming team that has like that's just become one of the best shows in basketball. Yeah.
I'm really good at tapping into like what I guess the newer NBA audience is interested in. Yeah. And like I'm in the sort of positive stuff, like the theater and like the good nature and not all that. Man, I mean, this might be a rude thing to say, but like that kind of Kobe era, like hard nosed, like everything's serious, Mamba mentality of basketball. I think like, you know, the Kings are much better at tapping into that. Like, look, these guys, they're the best at what they're doing, but also like they are kind of having fun and like they're friends and they're friendly with each other instead of being like, nah, no fucking friends in the league. Yeah. Like, I don't know. That's what the Kings embody for me at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I like light the beam.
Yeah.
Like that could have so easily gone wrong.
Yeah. 100%. That like if they hadn't won like 50 games last season as well.
Yeah. But also like if you were to give like and like the Kings, I feel like were the first social media team that was really posting like gags on the internet.
Yeah.
Like post game and stuff. So they've always been good at that, but like they had to be in the boardroom or whatever room in the front office before the start of last season, and like it would have been months of planning. But I feel like the gist of Light the Beam was like some fucking old white guy coming in and being like, "Can someone make a meme for us?" And like you give that to any other sporting team in the league, it just goes wrong nearly every time. But the Kings nailed it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I feel like the idea of the team, like the personality of the team, isn't just the players. It's like it's the whole organization, and it like bleeds into the broadcast as well.
Yeah.
So cool, great time to be a Kings fan.
Yeah, 100%.
Unfortunately, we don't know any of them.
I think just one more thing, building on what you were saying about like what fans want to hear when they're listening to the broadcast. When you listen to like some of those older, you know, I don't know, like Reggie Miller comes to mind. Like whenever like their partner, you know, their like professional media co-host, co-broadcaster, like refers to them, it's always like over like some like, you know, I don't know, like how would have you reacted to this situation in the NBA? And it's never like actually about the play. It's never like, you know, like how did you approach like spot up threes, or like how did you, you know, how did you shoot when you were going left, or like stuff like that. It's always like, man, back in my day, we never would have done that.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, when you listen to, say, I don't know, someone like JJ Redick, who like I am loath to compliment sometimes because of my personal feelings about it. But like when you listen to him on a broadcast, like his broadcast partner, often Ryan Rocco, will be like, okay, like what was it like, you know, when a team like, you know, was running a zone against you, or like what was it like when, you know, you had to do this, and then he like explains it and you're like, oh fuck, that's like really interesting to hear someone who did that 2,000 times while it's happening in front of your eyes explain like why they're doing it and what it's like to do it. Whereas I think there was just this thing where for a long time where it's like, no, and it's the same in other sports, where it's like the only thing that these extremely experienced players were telling you about was like the kind of like culture of being on the court, or like the atmosphere of being on the court. And it's like, no, I actually want to know how you played basketball.
I feel like, again, a hard person to compliment, maybe the least complimentable person in the NBA, but Doc Rivers, on his first broadcast, you know how everyone's like, no one plays D in the NBA anymore? Just like within 3 or 4 minutes of his first broadcast, Doc Rivers was like, now we have all these inflated scores because teams are playing a lot faster. There's not actually no defense being played, so just don't get misguided. You just completely like nullified like half of people's arguments about the NBA. Just so simply as well, and it was like, oh, it really is that easy. It's so easy to explain.
He's been a surprising breath of fresh air.
Genuinely. It sounds, even though he sounds like he needs a breath of fresh air. Also, Ryan Rocco, JJ Redick, Richard Jefferson, they had a game one time. I'm sure they've had a couple, but I remember just being like, I have to watch this. Not even just for the basketball.
So it's such a good combination. Like, Ryan Rocco, I think he gets what people want to listen to. And then like RJ and JJ. I think they're the perfect...
RJJJ.
RJJJJ.
RJ.
Oh, snap.
RJJJ.
Triple R, Triple J. Yeah, like...
Come back after that.
I think they both know how to balance that, like, you know, ribbing each other a little bit while actually, like, doing a good job commentating the game. But,
congrats, Chelsea Gray. I'm excited to watch Kings games, and also I'm excited to watch the Aces next year. Is she under contract?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully for you. Now, next thing we had planned was the bloody WNBA draft lottery. This happened yesterday?
I think it happened yesterday. Yeah, no, it happened yesterday. Yeah.
All of these things happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, great time to
record.
Could you
believe it?
So should we? How do you want to do this? Should we just go through the draft lottery order first?
Should we? Do we want to go through? Yeah. Should we go through the order and then go through? I mean, I have ESPN's mock draft in front of me.
Yeah, I've got ESPN's as well. There was also another one I had that I liked, but if we're both on ESPN, just stick with that.
We'll settle with that. Do you want to go through the order first, and then we can sort of break it down as far as we can?
Yeah, sure. So, first pick, Indiana Fever. We'll just do the first round, 1 through 12. Indiana Fever, Los Angeles Sparks, Phoenix Mercury, Seattle Storm, Dallas Wings, Washington Mystics, Minnesota Lynx, Atlanta Dream, Dallas Wings, Connecticut Sun, New York Liberty, Los Angeles Sparks.
Yeah, which that's the Aces pick. I'm going to assume that.
Yeah, and Dallas have 2 picks. No, not Dallas. Mini have 2 picks. Dallas.
No, I think it's just the Sparks.
No, Dallas has 5 and 9.
Oh yeah, okay. So who's
Team X's pick?
Okay. If only it said.
We as in the Storm, dropped. I think we fell from expected 2nd overall pick to 4th. Yeah. I'm burning a little bit, but I feel like you were about to say something.
No. I wasn't about to say anything. You go on.
Okay, so I've been. Sabrina Ionescu was the first college player that like infiltrated my algorithm that like stayed. Yeah. And there have been countless players that have come in for, you know, moments here and there and then fallen away, etc. Paige Beckers is the other player that's come and stayed. And I really, really wanted the Storm to get her.
Right,
It's now looking like every mock draft that I've looked at least has her as the top 3, in the top 3, or as a top 2 pick. And now we've fallen from 2 to 4, and I'm sure we'll get a great young prospect. But I really wanted to get someone that was like, it's so hard to maintain that level of coverage and production. Sorry, that actually come the other way. It's so hard to maintain that level of production, which then comes with the coverage. Yeah. And I think that's just like so tried and tested. And, I'm not going to compare anyone to Sabrina Ionescu, but like, Sabrina came into the league so ready, and she had that first season that was 3 games or whatever, and then that second season she was just already ready for like the outside of basketball stuff, and like she was so ready to be like a star in New York and stuff like that. And I just feel like that's repeatable in someone like Paige Beckett.
Yeah.
And like, you can trust the Storm with the top pick. Sue Bird, Jewel Lloyd, Brandon Stewart, like these are like all-time. Maybe not Jewel Lloyd's an all-time great, but like she could be. But the organization develops these players really well, and I was just hoping that we either stay at the second or maybe drop to the third. The fourth, though, is a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, it's very much a 1 through 3 sort of draft situation, and you were very clearly tanking to get one of those good picks. I'm just gonna jump in and say that 5th pick that the Dallas Wings has is from Chicago.
Okay.
Just so we've covered that journalistic sort of base, if you will. Yeah.
Cheers, bro.
Shall we go through this mock draft?
Yeah, let's go through this mock draft.
So the Indiana Fever, who I think deserved the first pick, are projected to draft Caitlin Clark out of Iowa, which, I don't know, Indiana and Iowa, they both feel like corn states. So it feels like a kind of Larry Bird pick for me, Like,
he's also from Indiana.
Yeah, no, but like a guy from Indiana being picked by the Boston Celtics makes sense. Like,
that's so funny.
Like a girl from Iowa getting picked by the Indiana Fever makes sense. She is incredible. Like, her shot making ability is just like out of this world. She actually looks like she can hit it from anywhere in the court, like whenever she wants. And she is an excellent playmaker to boot. What do you make of Caitlin Clark?
Yeah, well, Indiana Fever, I feel like Aaliyah Boston had a great rookie season. And Caitlin Clark is just like unanimous first pick at every mock draft that you look at. UNLS had a chat about what was that college game? It was while I was traveling.
It was the NCAA. If it was the final or one of the Final Four games.
It was the Final Four game
between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah.
And it was just very loaded. Let's say that.
Yeah, I missed all of that because I was just like getting the tan or some shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys did a great job of covering that. I remember listening to that and being like, oh damn, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
I know I'm the one on a holiday, but I'm missing out. I think that Caitlin Clark is kind of a no-brainer here. Dare I say she's got that mindset mentality.
Absolutely. 100%. Which is something the Fever could use.
Yeah.
If she honestly, she feels like one of those players, again, league ready, could come in and like Indiana immediately, like at a 7th seed or something like that.
Yeah. Aaliyah Boston, as we mentioned, but also Christy Wallace is there.
Yeah.
And I think from memory she's signed for multiple years, but I could be wrong with that. I
think she's still on the roster. But
okay, hopefully.
I think.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But it does feel like they are trying to just pivot rather than like bottom out. Completely.
Which you can do in the WNBA for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully on the back of Aaliyah Boston and now Caitlin Clark, hopefully they can make that pivot and start like building towards something.
Yeah.
Pick 2.
Pick 2. So this was the upset, I suppose, that kicked you and Phoenix down 2 spots. The Los Angeles Sparks, who was it a season ago or 2 seasons ago? It looked like they were really swinging to be like the 3rd best team in the WNBA.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be great last season as well.
Yeah, like they made really big signings
Yeah.
on sort of building on a already strong team. I think they also sort of took advantage on teams that wanted to step back a little bit as well. What were the trades they made?
In the last offseason, they added Steph Talbot, Azrae Stevens.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to check out now, but Steph Talbot,
Jasmine Thomas.
The
the Diarca Hamby situation as well.
So they added like battle tested players. And former all-stars and stuff.
Yeah.
But they had a bad season the season prior, and I feel like you could attribute that to health. But then last season, I think it was the same deal as well. I think you could attribute it to health as well.
Yeah. So I think it's a boon for them. Very, 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 not lucky, but I think this sort of changes their trajectory a lot. So projected at 2 is Cameron Brink, who's a power forward out of Stanford. She's 6'4". Seeing here, she is averaging 11 rebounds and 3.3 blocks, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, good numbers if you can get them. Yeah, even as a team that's in the lottery or finished so close to the bottom and could end up as a team that got the second overall pick. They could really just pick best player available.
Yeah.
Still due to just how many players they have in each position. I personally don't know. I don't watch college sports at all. But she's got great numbers.
That's a good point, I think. It picked 3 here. The Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah.
Unfortunately projected to get your girl Paige Beckers. 6 foot zip point guard coming out of UConn.
6 foot zip.
And the first line on this ESPN article, I think, says it all. With Mercury legend Diana Taurasi turning 42 next June.
Yeah.
If you can go from Diana Taurasi to we're calling it an Ionescu level potentially player, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah. Someone could just steady the ship or learn from Taurasi and then just ride out.
Oh, how good would that be? Being a complete dominant player in college sports, and then Diana Taurasi is your backup point guard for your first season in the WNBA.
Yeah. I don't know if Taurasi starts.
Or vice versa.
Or side by side.
Yeah.
That also means Diana Taurasi would have started her college career before Beckers was born.
Fucking hell.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
She was a UConn legend by the time Beckers was born.
Yeah.
Also, Paige Beckers the other day became the quickest UConn player to 1,000 points, beating Maya Moore. And they did a grid of all the UConn players that have hit 1,000 points, and they're just so good.
Yeah,
it's Sue Bird, Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore. There were 9 of them, and I'm missing out on however many I'm missing out.
Wow.
Yeah. So next we got the Storm, Camilla Kundo. So I can't say I know too much about her, but it's not getting easier.
No.
It's not getting easier to be the 4th.
Yeah. No. Again, well, a 6'7" center is pretty nice.
Yeah, it would be nice.
A pretty nice player to have.
I feel like we never have the big bigs.
Yeah.
Moving down the list, maybe we shouldn't go big by big.
Yeah.
Nadia Poch from Australia and playing for Cheryl Chambers' Southside Flyers. Also, another player I really expected to make the 20-player squad for the Opals, and then also another player that just speaks to how good we are right now.
Yeah.
But she's not even making the 20-player squad. She's projected to go in the first round. I saw one mock draft put her at 5 with Dallas, and the ESPN one has her at 7 with the Minnesota Lynx.
Yeah.
And she would be a great fit on both of those teams. I actually love the idea of her in Dallas with Isabella Harrison and Satu Sabali. Just put out these huge wings with heaps of length. And you could even play one of them or make that the front court and just run all game.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see. I feel like last year she was very raw in the WNBL, and she's still 19.
Yeah.
But even her year from last year to this year jump in the WNBL has been huge, and she's just brought a level of consistency to every performance, and it's kind of rewarding her. And Southside have Mercedes Russell, Lauren Jackson, these like great bigs.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about them a little bit on this show, but then Maddie Rocci in the backcourt, Beck Cole in the backcourt, and Poch is just the perfect complementary piece to all of them, and she shows it in like cutting, shooting. There's so much space created on the court, and I feel like the rest of the players are kind of like in their roles, and Poch is kind of the only one that's like, I guess I'm still kind of making my game. So she just like carves her way all around the court, and it's just like it's awesome to see her development. But yeah, where would you like to see her picked?
Let's have a look. Yeah, I like that wing suggestion. I don't know, would the Storm jump up that far to get her, or is there sort of more pedigree higher up the draft? I think like the Lynx as well, like, you know, I think they probably need like, you know, a really solid wing player. But yeah, I mean, it's just exciting seeing an Australian that high up the board.
Absolutely. Like a first round pick for an Aussie, it feels like it's always exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like the Lynx pick.
Yeah.
The Lynx fit. Because I feel like they did lack that like just pure wing. They always had like I feel like they always had a 2 or a 3 playing the 3 or the 4. But like a 2 that could been converted to a 3 rather than a
Yeah.
And also I like their big depth now with like Dorka Uhas having such a good playoffs. And actually, while we're here, you can find an article I wrote about the Dallas Wings.
Hey.
On the deep2.com. Yes, that's just the deep2.com.
It's actually that simple.
It's actually that simple.
Which I can't believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anyone else of note in this first round for you? Maybe the next pick down.
Yeah. We should talk about Angel Reese because you know.
Just because she just hit the gritty. With
she just hit the gritty with Ja Morant. She said yes. No, but she's a really fun player. Like, you know, I suppose all the social media stuff aside, like she is a really exciting. I do feel like having her go 8th, I feel like she would be like a really good compliment to Ryan Howard. Like, you know,
true.
Like a good dynamic big to partner with her. But like, you know, I think like playing her with Ryan would also kind of like paper up maybe her own like shot creation, like the lack in her own shot creation and her own shooting and stuff like that. Like, you know, she can just sort of hammer inside a lot more, and like, yeah, her defense is incredible, which I think the Dream could really use as well.
Yeah. Also, Shane Parker had a great season. Ari McDonald, who's been just killing it for the Perth Lynx this season. Also a bloody Atlanta, a dreamer.
Yeah,
a dreamer of Atlanta.
They should be a good team over the next few years. Yeah.
Oh my god, and Naz Hillman, of the Melbourne Boom.
Hey, yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Ryan Howard was the first pick, not last year's draft, but the draft before. And as soon as they realized she was good, they were just like, all right, let's go. Yeah. So, yeah. I feel like Angel Reese is like, from what I've gathered, I miss that Final Four and like the... Was it March Madness? It would have been March Madness. It had to be March Madness.
Yeah.
I missed that, like, that run and like that little part of it, basketball history. But from what I gathered, it seems like the adjustment to like a professional league isn't going to be the issue.
No, not at all.
It's just going to be about how quick she can produce.
Yeah, exactly right. And then also, you know, I think, you know, there's when you become like the Instagram college player, people are like, fuck yeah, she's the best.
Yeah,
like, she's the best player in the draft. It's like, no, she has like a lot of holes in her game. Like she's not, you know, she's not like a ball handling 6'3" power forward. Like she is. You know, very like hustle, very good at rebounder, very good finisher, but like, you know, there's a lot of development to do as well. But like, I think also, you know, if you do want to talk about the personality stuff, always great to get a good personality, like, you know, in a good situation. And, you know, maybe if that boosts their draft capital a bit, that's not a bad thing. Like,
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? Any last comments? Any last bits of news you'd like to?
Nah, I think that's pretty good. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to talk about women's basketball news because I think it's just gets saturated out of the media sometimes. Like, it's good to be like, all this stuff is happening and, we can stay on top of it.
Yeah, and like it's not like it all happened from in the whole window of the last episode till this episode. It was all yesterday.
Yeah, it was actually all yesterday.
As we said, this is all yesterday. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll just be an abundance of things to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving forward.
Now, looking to the future for you and I.
Yeah.
Do you...
These conversations always make me nervous.
So, just going by the 2 week schedule this show goes on.
Yeah.
Our next show would be on Boxing Day, which I assume we won't be doing.
Yeah.
Is this a see you after the holiday sort of thing? Or?
Oh my god, see you next year.
Exactly right. Or we are also both going to be going to see the Melbourne Boomers play the
Bendigo Spirit.
On the 30th of December. So could it be fun to meet back at some point near then?
I guess we could do that. I guess around Christmas time, I'm sure our employer will be understanding if we miss an episode of the W or of JVG.
You can almost count on that, actually.
Yeah. Count it.
All right. Well, I'll speak to you when I'm speaking to you.
Yeah, see you in the next year's future.